Ladies and gents, welcome again with another video. In today's video, I want to share with you guys on how exactly I got into high ticket closing myself and being more transparent on, my past experience and why you should even listen to me at the first place on how you guys can actually get into high ticket closing. If you're new to this channel, my name is Elijah. Essentially, in this channel, I share with you guys my journey on how I became a high ticket closer, how you can also become a high ticket closer yourself, and essentially just documenting the journey and sharing the lessons I've learned along the ways. So I don't want to waste your time. Let's dive right into it, and I want to share with you guys exactly and how I got into it. So again, I cannot start from a very short time frame. This is a very long, arduous journey on how I got into this space where it was trials and error, multiple times trying different business models, and essentially landing an offer. First month making my 7K as a closer, and second month making my very first 10K online in any business model ever that I've tried. And essentially from there, my life has changed for the better, completely. It's insanely been grateful in the situation, and I'm sharing with you this video not to brag, but to inspire you on what's possible out there, right? I mean, I'm such a small piece or a small player in this industry, right? And even though I've helped multiple people get into this space, help guys like some of my guys that I work with get to 10K months to 5K months, 5 to 10K a month. I'm still a small player. It's such the market that I have is not even 0.1%, right? This is how big this industry is. And essentially, how did I even find out about high ticket closing myself? Like, how did I get into this space? How did I stumble upon this? So before this, I was just a young kid, 18 years old, and I had basketball dreams. And at that point as well, I started becoming more, trying to explore my other options. And I came across this online space on making money online, side hustles, and much of that, right? So I started flipping some clothes, all clothes, and I got into my self-development journey at that point. And a couple of years fast forward, then the lockdown happened, and I had a lot of time. I had a lot of time in my hand, right? There was actually a point where I had an opportunity to work with a MLM company, but ethically, I just didn't believe in it. So I didn't move forward with it. But looking back at it now, that is a sales experience that I could have taken advantage of at such a young age. But the thing here is everybody has a different journey, right? So your journey is different from mine. And exactly the way I'm sharing my journey, or if you're watching this video, is use it as a guideline on seeing where you're at currently in your journey. So lockdown happened, tried a bunch of stuff, right? And the very first thing I fell for is investing in trading, day trading, essentially, right? A lot of people say 80% of traders lose their money. I actually enjoyed it, right? I was about break even or lost a couple $100 as a day trader, an option trader. And at that point, I just started getting frustrated on the reading charts every morning. It feels like it feels like it was work, and I just couldn't put it together, right? Bear with me over here. If you want to learn more about this, like if you want to just skip to the part where, I talk about exactly how I got into it and like the quick and overnight success, then go ahead, just skip this part and go to the very end. I'll explain it to you. But if you want to know the step-by-step reason on how I got into this space, keep watching this video, because if you just copy what I've done and you see what are the things that I did and you listen to what I did, then I don't see any reason why you cannot get to the same situation I was in a couple months ago, right? And get to the situation I'm in now at this very moment, where I could literally travel anywhere and literally close anywhere from the entire planet Earth and still make money. So first thing first, got into the investing part, right? And then after that, I got into e-commerce. While I was doing investing, day trading, I got into e-com and essentially the drop shipping, right? Launched a couple of stores, right? In total, I launched about 4 or 5 stores, right? One of them did pretty well. Second one didn't even, I think I made a one sale and I spent like $50 and I was like, oh, it's not working, right? That's what my mind already said because I was so afraid of spending money at that point, right? Because that point, yeah, I bought a couple courses. Some of them didn't work out. And then the very third thing is after all of that, I dropped $5 for an ecom mentorship that I've gone. Okay, pin this now, right? This is when around 2020, I believe, or 2019, 2020, I believe. Pin that right there. Did ecom drop shipping mentorship for 5 bands. There you go. Pin it right there. Think about it. Now, fast forward, launch another 3 stores. All of them break even. Previously, when lockdown happened, I was selling this mask, which helped me actually generate a good amount of income. I think in total, I made about 15 to 18K in that store. And essentially, I re-rolled that from my other investments or other stuff that I was saving up for. And I was, I was 18 at that point. I was not the best at managing my money. So some of them I just didn't know where it went. So fast forward now, trying to make all of this work out. Nothing was working out. And then I was like, there has to be another way for me to make money online. So after trying the ecom stuff for 3 or 4 months in, time frame, break even, I'm very close on actually finding my winning product and deciding to transition to SMMA. So this is be wary of this, right? This is what I call, shiny object syndrome, right? Because that's one of the biggest, facing problem I've had on why I wasn't even getting results was because I had a shiny object syndrome. Just a sec, let me drink real quick. And then, I got into this space, right? I was watching some Iman videos on how to start your marketing agency. And essentially, that led me to getting into one mentorship again. I had a crossroad where this is right after fresh off college, high school graduation, right? And it was either get a car or get into this mentorship, right? That was the ecom one. And then this other one, I only had a couple of grand left in my bank account. And then this guy pitched me another 5K. Like back then, I didn't even know that you could give objections or, there's payment plans or nothing. I just straight up say, if I'm in proximity of someone that I want to be in, or I want to be in the situation he's in, I don't mind paying that small sacrifice. So at that point, I had a couple of credit cards in my name. So what I did is I charged it another 5 bands on my name. So at this point, at 19 now, I've spent 10K so far on mentorships, right? And not accounting all of the courses I've taken, couple hundred bucks here, and just here and there. But this is the big purchases I've made. And so far, as 19-year-old kid, it's absurd on why a lot of people was like, what are you spending this on? Like, you're literally getting scammed. Maybe I am, but I would not know that if I haven't tried, right? So now, fast forward now, try to make the marketing agency work out. It was just not for me again. I signed one client that was paying me 2K a month. And essentially, this entire thing was like, okay, I realized I was sold in a dream where, okay, I like the marketing agency. To be fair I like this business model. But the problem was the difficultiness of getting a client, outshines the turnaround of like compared to like high ticket closing. So what I mean by this is, you need to learn SOPs, you need to learn how to manage a team, finding a right media buyer, right? Being able to, do outreach marketing, create content, right? Create a very lucrative offer where people would say yes on, right? And essentially, I had a crossroad once again, right? At this point, I was in debt already. I was paying per monthly basis. And what happened is interesting, right? I got into the space of, this thing. Remember, I'd been investing in myself, right? Mentorships, right? And the thing is, I was put in a position where I needed to pay rent, right? I had no choice. I had to swallow my, my pride and say, hey, I have to go back to the 9 to 5 job. So, look, even though I already had some success, a young kid, if quote unquote success on the e-com stuff and stuff like that, I had to go back to the 9 to 5 job and essentially, to be able to pay rent. So I did that, grinded my ass off. And then at the weekends and my day offs, I was trying to make the marketing agency work out. And eventually, right, I got insanely complacent on myself at the 9 to 5 job, just grinding that in and day out, and just felt like I have no more purpose or more growth in that company. And what I did is I betted on myself once again. I had a couple, I think I had like a grand or 1.5K in my name that point, but I had like rent due, right? A couple bills due. And then after deducting all of that, I only had a couple hundred left in my name. So again, back to scratch once again, right? And again, if you guys are noticing a pattern, it is not easy, right? And this happened from the span of 18 all the way to 20 years old. So the thing on that as well, I literally forgot to talk to you guys about, I became a social media manager as well, but forget about that. So essentially, the reason why I'm telling you all these stories is because, once I was able to sign my first 2K a month, or I think it was 2K a month client on SMMA, I realized, oh, I have to do this, X, Y, and Z. And then there's a deduction on my pay cut from my media buyer. But you also have to understand you need to train your media buyer to do this X, Y, and Z. And then essentially it was just not for me. It just didn't click. So after that, I was just like, okay, nothing is working out. I need to make something, work out again. And then after, getting left behind by my marketing agency. So how like I went back to 9 to 5 job and I quit that again, and then I went all in marketing agency. I actually signed a client that time, which led me to the 2K a month, per month on my SMMA. And then after that helped me enough time to, build it up, build content, but at the same time, not having to work a 9 to 5 job. But after that, realizing all these things that includes in SMMA, then I was stuck in the crossroads once again to say, hey, this is not working out. Is either pivot now or I should keep persevering. And then my instinct told me to pivot. I talked to one of my friends. He's told me, hey, do you know what you're doing right now? You could actually do it for someone who's a pretty successful mentor, who was a pretty successful agency owner, and become their setter and closer. And I was like, no, I've never thought about that before. And what I did is I started reaching out to people and all these things, right? And fast forward now, again, like I've told you guys at the beginning, is I've made my very first 7K at my first month, and second month I made my very first 10K in the online history on me trying all of these things online. So, ladies and gents, that's essentially the story on how I got into this space, man. Without you guys, I've actually documented as well a couple of stuff. I got a lot of stuff in the archives, but I'll probably start unlisting them. But yeah, that's essentially the story on how I went from, making 2K a month in my SMMA all the way now to making 10, 15K a month as a closer. So again, that's the journey. If you guys picked up a couple of things here and there on what exactly I did, comment down in the section below on what you guys learned. But again, that's it pretty much for me for this video. And I'll always leave you guys with this one thing: be a creator, not a consumer. Create something today that will inspire you and others. Peace out.